I think we can all breathe for a second. We can all stop, take a moment. It's been very, very hectic, and we're going to talk about that. Today, we've got a whole big video. We're going to reflect on the past 48 hours of football. We're going to talk about our stance on everything, reflect on everything that's happened, kind of give our thoughts, and just calm down for a second because it's been very, very hectic. But before we do that, we really want to ask you to press subscribe. We'd really appreciate it if you did so. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So anyone that presses that button would be greatly appreciative. Josh?
And also, Jay forgot to mention, if you do hang around at the end, if you're on board of this, we're going to talk about a little bit of football. Football. That sport that when they kick that ball. We're going to talk about that for a little bit as well.
This football podcast will have football, I swear, just right at the end, so stick around. Where should we start, boys? It's been crazy, and I think this is the first time we've actually all spoke to each other properly about it because we've all been busy. We've done our own videos and that, and we wanted to come together, but I don't know where to start really. Like, where should we start?
We've sent a lot of memes to each other. That's
yeah.
the primary
best
communication.
Thing about it all.
A lot of good memes have come out of this. I won't lie. I guess the place to start with is, like you said, before we move on to how we feel about our clubs, it's the recap. So the really boring bit, everyone knows this. We know, don't we? As a Super League got announced, it didn't go down very well in certain circles of the footballing community. A minority, it must be said not keen on this, and then it didn't happen using a lovely dominoed fallout. The one solace is that the British clubs held their hands up and said, this isn't going to work. And apparently Juventus is still holding on, going, it might. I mean, is there anything more we need to say about it? If anyone doesn't know what's happened, go and just do a quick look.
Where have you been?
Yeah.
It's all it's been anywhere. Yeah, no, it's been crazy, man. So much has happened. Like this story, it felt like every hour there was a new progression on the story, and that's kind of why we haven't done anything big on it yet until now, because I feel like it's the first time we've all had a breather. But we're going to look back like quite reflectively on it, and we want to give our kind of stance on it, and also going forward what we think as well. And I guess the first part of that would be the fan reaction to it all, wasn't it? The fan reaction was overwhelmingly negative, obviously, and I think there was certain camps, and this is what kind of gives me a little bit of hope is. There were certain camps that were very defeatist and like, there's nothing we can do. It's the inevitable. It's happening. It's just now. It's happening. Then the other half was like, no, we've got to stand up. We've got to do this. And we stood up and fans spoke, and it was everything that we'll speak about for the past 48 hours. And they actually listened. That's what's so surprising to me. I don't know why I fell in the camp of the inevitable is happening now. It's happening. We've been speaking about it for years. It's just now's the date it happens. I wanted us to protest and I wanted us to try and stop it, but I didn't think it'd work. But here we are, a couple hours later, and it's all crumbled around us. I think
it was inevitable that it would get too much for the fans. Us as podcasters, we was viewing, we were sort of, it was like we were shot down by football, and the response from, I'd say 99% of the fans has been immense. You got to praise specific groups like Chelsea, like Leeds, but us three did our own take. We had our say. Many other fans did, and that's essentially what brought this whole thing down.
And let's not beat around the bush. And an ideal world would be, football. All of a sudden, all the football clubs joined hands and went, this isn't what they want.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give that. This is football clubs going, oh shit, we're fucked. We're going to lose everything. Backtrack. So there's no wholesome end to this tale. It's they haven't done the right thing. They've been defeated.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great point. That.
But fans can be immensely proud of that. Like the thing that fans of West Ham, Leeds, Leicester, Everton need to realise. is, I had a comment on my video saying Tottenham fans are secretly loving this. And it was like, what are you on? No one is. No one was. A few people, I heard when I went on a podcast the other day, very nice guys, but I heard them condemn it and then say, well, unless it gives us the money to buy Mbappe. And like, at that point, you just feel like slamming your head against a wall. Like
Oh no, absolutely no. I've heard what I didn't hear that. I have heard one person on the radio. It was an Arsenal fan that said this is a good idea. Everyone else I've heard say this is not a good idea, and this has come from everyone. And as for me, as a Chelsea fan, I'm very happy with the protest that happened yesterday. Like it was, you'd think, usually the clubs. Chelsea, I don't feel like I've not seen this much in my time as a Chelsea fan. So I was really extremely proud. I wish I could have been there myself, but I wasn't. The scenes were really good. The protest that then turned into a bit of a celebration. I was very happy with that. Josh correctly pointed out that it was the first home game, so it should have happened for anyone. But the fact that it was us, the fact that people went and did the thing, stopped the bus, did anything they could to get their voices heard, made me very proud as a Chelsea fan and maybe proud of the fan base for the first time in a while, maybe.
And to prove that as well, they're Tottenham play in another 3.5 hours, and there are going to be protests, well, in 1.5 hours, actually, against ENIC now. United, I know, have the similar things planned. Liverpool, I haven't heard anything, but if Liverpool aren't marching, then something's terribly wrong.
I'm guessing we've got. I mean, it goes further. That we'll get into this later, but this goes further than the Super League for us now. We've got protests outside Old Trafford on Saturday. In protest against the Glazers. We'll get into that later, but yeah, in terms of fan reaction and the people that actually bring this sport to where it is today, had a big say, and it's changed for the better. Although I think we all are still quite pissed off at our teams, at our clubs.
Yeah, we didn't mention this, but you'll notice that there's none of our clubs are represented today. He intentionally didn't feel comfortable popping up a Tottenham shirt, a Chelsea shirt, United shirt.
None of the Super League clubs, none.
I even refrained from putting a Chicago Fire shirt up there because we don't want to Americanize it anymore.
Oh God. And I think to end off this little part of the segment before we move on to the next point, for me, I think it's told us all that we have a voice and it can be heard, but this is definitely not the end. A lot of people have said this. It's like it was the lesser of the two evils that we were supporting for, but they are still evil. But now we should use this as an example. Like we are, as fans, have a voice that we can start changing the sport we love. Mm-hmm. So we need to carry on now. It needs to keep happening.
It's the famous movie line, isn't it? We've battered them away, and then like one person, like I don't know who, like Mark Goldbridge, looks out of the banners and goes, "Oh, they'll be back." And in great numbers.
I thought you were just going to use your Lord of the Rings reference, Josh.
Yes, no, there is also the battle for Helm's Deep is over. The battle for Middle Earth is about to begin. Jay hasn't watched Lord of the Rings since he's a child. That's a disgrace. Moving on.
That's another video.
At least he's watched it. That's a great point.
No, but it's one of those things like just it isn't over, and these people are still, in the clubs, and it's a difficult one for Tottenham because we're owned by an investment company, so obviously we can't really be angry that they're making the decision to make themselves the most money, but hopefully that means now that we've reached our peak now, the stadium's been built, where a competitive team, well, not this season, but you know what I mean, and now that ceiling isn't there now, they've got a ceiling, so hopefully now we're sold. Because they're an investment company, there's nothing else to gain now without this. Touch wood.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And speaking of wood, you've mentioned his name. A positive.
Wow.
That was good. That
I saw the idea.
He's gone. No. Ed Woodward's gone. That's a slight positive to come from this, isn't it, Adam?
I don't have much to say about it. We mentioned it briefly before we started. To me, it's a small victory for United. And and hopefully it's the start of something bigger. I mean, I'm not to take anything away from Tottenham, from Liverpool, from Arsenal. We've wanted the Glazers out for years and years and years. We still want them out, but I think this is a small victory that will pull more fans together, I'm sure. I mean, I've never been to a protest in my life, but I'm going on Saturday because I think it's the final straw on the camel's back for me. But yeah, Woodward is, although it's a small victory, Josh said it himself, the Glazers are just going to bring in someone like Woodward. It doesn't matter really.
He's a fall guy, isn't he? He's a cockhead, but he's a fall guy.
As much as we think we've not got the players we wanted, we've not got the funds we wanted the past few years, he is the fall guy for United, but really it goes further than that, which is the Glazers. They are taking all of our money and we're not seeing any of it. So it does need to go further than just Woodward out.
So it's done now. It hasn't happened. Who knows what will happen in the future? But for now, they've been stopped. Everything business as usual, maybe. A lot of talk. Obviously we've discussed. I'll be watching Tottenham again tonight against Southampton. I feel comfortable to do that now. I genuinely didn't know if I was going to, but I get to now experience Ryan Mason leading us out. What? But the question is so for me personally, I've always known that the runners of the owners of Tottenham are, they weren't necessarily evil, but they were in it for the money. I've always known that. I want us to be sold. However, my relationship with Tottenham, I think we're all pissed off. So how do you all feel? I'm pissed off, but
I think you said it greatly in your little video you did yesterday or the day before. You said we're not mad at the badge. We're mad at the people upstairs, aren't we? I'm not mad at the team, the players, the manager. It's a tough one because I did say I was boycotting it, but until there was a change, until we saw some positive light from it, and we've seen it, and it took about 7 hours.
Honestly, how was that? How was you avoiding the United YouTube channel for 7 hours?
Well, what was funny, I was boycotting United. However, I was a bit drunk the other night, and I was watching compilations of United goals from the past. But it just made me worse. So as much I boycotted the matches until then. But on a serious note, I am still extremely pissed off with United. Will I watch United versus Leeds on Sunday? Probably. It doesn't take away from the fact that I probably won't enjoy it as much as I would have last week. I'm, in a way, and it sounds awful from United's point of view, I'm sort of hoping Leeds get a result. If you've noticed, Liverpool drop points, Chelsea dropped points, City and Tottenham on tonight. It'd be amazing if we could all drop points in the midst of all this.
Yeah. And that, I think that, I'll quickly give my stance and then that begs another question. But for me, yeah, absolutely just fuming. It's such a difficult one because for as long as I've been a Chelsea fan almost, Abramovich has been the owner, and it's never, we all know Abramovich isn't a good guy. He has his bad past, his present, his business, it's all wrong. And we've found success through that, and that's such a conflicting thing anyway. So this isn't shown me anything. This has just showed me more of what I knew already, and it's not nice. And but at the same time, I guess this is me probably being defeatist again. Abramovich goes, who else comes in? Who else is wealthy enough to come in that isn't already an evil bastard?
Big head that comes in with
So it's a difficult one for sure, but no, I'm still fuming with Chelsea, even for the idea of this coming in. I think Bruce Buck, Marina Granovskaya, Roman Abramovich, I'm disappointed with every single one of them. And I guess the question that begs that you just mentioned there, Adam, was, do you think there should be ramifications in this season now? Like, do we think we should lose points? Do we think City and Real Madrid and Chelsea, Arsenal and United are all still in Europe. Do they get kicked out? Like, what do you think should happen?
Personally, I think I'd love to see repercussions, but I think the fans have done enough. I think the ramifications as a club is they've lost a hell of a lot of fans. They've lost supporters that have been, I've seen videos of people cutting up the season tickets of all this jazz. It sort of feels like a punishment, but again, it's not official. But I know that from a personal level, they've lost a lot of fans and a lot of respect.
But the thing is, for me, if they do, I don't know where I sit on this. I don't know if we should or shouldn't get deducted points or whatever it may be. But the thing is, if it does happen, I think the way I'd like to see it is if it happens, it's more of a, you don't do this again. There will be ramifications. It's basically, treating a kid is, if it's done something wrong, it needs to be punished. So sort of, you know what I mean? Like, it needs to be told off.
For me, it's sort of like, if you do, let's say, deduct points from the top 6 from the Premier League for now, you're not just punishing the top 6 for me. I think that's punishing the Premier League. It's like punishing the whole class when one of the kids has been naughty.
I used to hate that at school.
I don't think it would be beneficial to everyone. I think it would, dampen the Premier League and UEFA if points are deducted, if we're kicked out of Europe. So my answer would be no. I don't think there should be repercussions because I think the fans have done enough.
Fair enough, Josh.
Yeah, no, so for me, it's such a difficult one. I did see it genuinely. I wouldn't be bothered. I did see a 20 points deduction theory, whatever, proposal, I guess is the right word. And it's quite funny because it puts Arsenal in 19th, Tottenham in 17th, like 2 points of the relegation zone. Chelsea dropped to about 11th, United 9th, but City are still only 2 points off winning the league. So at that point, you're sat there going, oh, right, like, that doesn't seem quite fair then, considering everyone's in the same boat and some of us might end up in the fucking championship for it. Then I did think, however, if Tottenham do survive, that guarantees a season with no Europe and especially no European conference to rebuild. So actually, maybe. But
shit, that means we'd end up in it, wouldn't it?
Then I also thought as well, how many fans do we know that would probably stop supporting any of the big 6 clubs if they finish that low? And then I thought maybe we could all do with a season in the Championship just to purge all the fucking fans that don't follow football for the right reasons. That would be lovely. How many of them would fuck off if we, But then obviously, I don't think that's realistic. I don't think it should happen. However, look at Juventus, look at Rangers, teams that got shoved down the league, and they're still back at the pinnacle of football because that's what will happen.
Yeah, and I think it would teach a lesson to. It's so complete. It teach a lesson to the board, but again, the players have worked so hard this season. Like the City players, Pep Guardiola, they've worked hard to be where they're at. Same for everyone else. It's so sad for them if that happen.
However, it boils down to what Adam says, and if you relegate, if you deduct points, if you kick out of Europe, you're punishing the fans that are such a massive reason this didn't go ahead. So if you want to hurt them financially. Millions of pound fines, fucking offer free tickets for the next few seasons into stadiums, that sort of thing. Yeah. That's the punishment that is fair. I don't think any of that will happen. Though,
if you are going to fine, let's say, the clubs, again, it feels like we are somewhat being punished. What I personally think should happen is it should personally fine every chairman, every owner of the club. And what I think they should do, I think they should only be able to pay this fine back for their own money. If I want them,
then that would then affect the club because they wouldn't. There's no way to separate that.
I do understand that, but if you do fine, they're just going to take more money from the club, aren't they?
No. The actual way to solve this and is clearly the way forward. However, the Premier League is so scary and big, and it's a Goliath now that it's not possible. But the answer is for government legislation to come in and implement Germany's 50+1 rule. That is the way forward. It won't happen. It will never happen in the Premier League. But that is the way forward. It's, you know what? Fuck you. Sell 51% of your club now for a price that probably isn't fair for you, but fuck you, you had your chance. Everyone, Karen Brady for West Ham, bloody like everyone, sell 51% of your club to fans because look at Germany. Literally, do you not think Bayern Munich and Dortmund would have joined in a heartbeat if they were owned by millionaires? No, the heartbeat of their club is 51% fan ownership. That went, I don't fucking think so.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that would be a great move. Like you said, again, we probably don't think we'll see that unless we protest, lads. We got what we wanted.
Yeah, it's more difficult than that because even with a protest, Liverpool's worth $3 billion. How did that? Without government help and therefore taxes being involved, how do you do that? The only way to the punishment is, well, fuck you, you're making a loss now. But at the same time, it's so difficult. Well, and who knows what will happen. Right, so we're gonna try and wrap. No, Siri. Right, so we're going to try and round this off now, but there's a few more things to be said, and I think Bamford said it best when, look at what this did, look at the deaths in Qatar, look at racism within football, look at every horrendous thing that's going on, and this energy, if we were a massive Sky Sports, we could be preaching this. We know we're preaching this to like 50 of you, but... look at what can happen, and it should happen. The same energy should apply to all of these things. And, we've managed to preserve, a small victory has happened in managing to preserve an element of authenticity and what's the word? Tribalism within what makes English football. And this isn't just football. This is happening everywhere. This is everything. This is Disney Plus. This is everything growing and building. And I'm just as bad. I have a subscription to Now TV. I have a subscription to Disney Plus. This is the world, and what we've managed to do is hold back the flood for a little bit. And who knows how long the flood will be held back for. But for now, a little bit of authenticity, a little bit of what makes Chelsea, Tottenham, United has been fought back. But just be vigilant, because there are always people looking to take and make money from the things you love, whether that be Captain America, Harry Kane, or I can't think of another thing.
and on that, Chelsea, this is Chelsea specific, but I'm sure all clubs have this, but we have a supporters trust, we have pitch owners. Fans can own part of the pitch, their part of the pitch, and have their say in that matter. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you go look it up. Look at accounts like We Are the Shed and Carefree Youth, this kind of stuff. They will lead you in the right direction to do stuff like that. And I'm sure United and Spurs and every club has stuff like that.
Trust, the Fighting Cock do a lot of good with their 1882 that doesn't really happen anymore, but did. Like there's a lot of great stuff. Yeah,
so make sure you go check that stuff out, and we need to go forward. I want that to be the biggest message. Look at the energy, bring that forward for the rest of the time, lads.
Let's talk football.
In a football podcast, we're going to talk about. I mean, I don't know why I'm celebrating. It was fucking terrible.
Got delayed because there was no notifications that come through.
What happened, Jay?
Listen, I was excited. I was like, oh my god, there's something big's happened. We've done this. Chelsea fans were really proud. Blah blah blah. There was celebrations outside. I was like, oh, and now I get to kind of enjoy the football, because at the time I was a bit like, do we enjoy the football? I don't know how to feel. I'm putting it on, but do I want to put it on? All this, and then it's like I'm going to try and enjoy this. This is going to be okay. And then nothing of any significance happened.
Ben White got sent off in the 92nd minute.
And Danny Welbeck hit the bar at one point as well, and that was about it. Like, it was terrible. I mean, it's probably the backdrop of all this probably maybe had affected the players had to spend like 45 minutes, 50 minutes on the coach beforehand. That might have played a part. But ultimately, it was a terrible game of football, and we've lost the chance to go to third, even though we are fourth now, just ahead of West Ham, who we play on the weekend.
If there ever was an advert for a Super League, it was the game last night, wasn't it?
yeah, absolutely. but also, it was like I think Leeds said like nothing super about that, lads. To Liverpool, like they drew to Leeds, we drew to Brighton. Like, why do you get to go into a fucking Super League? You played terribly. Yeah, it was just rubbish, man. It was weird. I didn't do a fan cam or anything. Don't want to criticize too much, but yeah, it was a
no,
rubbish
at the same time, it was a fan cam would have felt almost inappropriate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure if what will happen unless something mad happens tonight. Probably a no from me as well.
Nah, that's fair.
Yeah, just as a quick one from me, I haven't had the chance as a fan to what we are 28 minutes and 8 seconds into this. Not a single word. Mourinho has not been mentioned. Like normally we'd still be talking about
that would have been.
Yeah, this is all it would have been. Is like, where's he going? What's he done? What went wrong?
Is he okay?
Is he okay? But no, at the moment, Mourinho's gone. It was not to do with the Super League. It was purely footballing reasons. I
think they used it a little bit.
It's difficult, for Chelsea fans still because he gave them so much, and even he gave United good moments. But I'm definitely Adam can probably sympathise slightly more of that lack of love.
Yeah,
because Jay used to love him a bit, don't you? It's hard not.
Oh yeah,
and I don't blame you for that. But it was getting battered by United and him slightly unprovoked talking about Solskjaer should feed his son, and you just sat there going, "Oh, shut the fuck up."
Yeah, but not letting him have the finals, Pete. Though.
Well, that was the biggest confusion for me. You've got a cup final against probably the best team in England at the moment. The perfect man for the job in a final against a team like City is Mourinho.
Ryan Mason, go on.
Can I caveat that?
Go on.
There's going to be a few points here. First of all, our semi-finals were against Brentford, I believe. It feels like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, this is a man that managed to get past Brentford. However, bottled a 2-0 lead against Dynamo Zagreb, completely lost his grasp on first place in the Premier League. Why should we give him this final? Yes, he's got us there, but bloody Sherwood should have got us there with the opponents we faced.
Yeah,
we had a pretty easy run.
At the same time, for me, you've got to look down to the final game. When it is one game, it's a game of 90 minutes, and I get that what he's done this year has been great, and he probably does deserve to be sacked. But as a final game, surely it's got to be.
No, I'm going to tell you why.
That's just where I disagree.
I'm going to tell you why. Because we're going to go into that final. Rodon's cup tied. He's benched Toby Alderweireld for however many games, the club's best defender. Gareth Bale and Dele Alli are still on the naughty step. And obviously you guys aren't going to know this, but Ryan Mason wasn't a quality first-team player when Pochettino came in. But what happened was Pochettino came in, he stamped his authority, he got rid of players, and the reason Ryan Mason then broke into the first team is because Ryan Mason understood and absorbed what Pochettino was trying to get across. And in one of Pochettino's first ever press conferences about Mason, he said, what I see there is a good footballer, but like a great potential manager. What I've asked him to do, Ryan Mason is not he's obviously a brilliant footballer compared to us, but he was never a world beater. He broke through really late. He was like 24 when he made his debut.
Mm-hmm.
But he understood and he got it. And he's come out and he's done almost a leaf from Solskjaer's book. He's said, this isn't about me. This is about Tottenham. Forget about me. I'm here to make Tottenham play. Tottenham are an exciting team. That's why Mourinho would have never worked, because inherently Tottenham like to be entertained. Mason understands that. Suddenly, Gareth Bale's not on the naughty step. Dele Alli's not on the naughty step. We're going to go to a final, and if we lose, which I do think we will, we're going to go down swinging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for. Whereas with Mourinho, we might have lost 1-0 and had 2 shots on target.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a very good point. I think you're going to win. I think this is just thrown everything off. The tilt has just been this. Ryan Mason's going to lift the Carabao Cup with Spurs and might get the job. Who knows? I think you're going to win. I'd put money on it.
Well, and this is one of the only times I will ever be, spurring for the Spurs. You know what I mean?
That was almost as bad
cut
as
out. Cut that out.
No, speaking of wood,
That was good. I enjoyed that. Right. Is that the end of? Is that the end of the video?
well, yeah, no, I just wanted to say as well, just as a side note, is by 2.5 years now, Ryan Mason is the youngest man ever to be a Premier League manager at 29.
29.
Is he? So is he official at Tottenham now? Is he just caretaker?
No, he's interim. He's interim. He has it till the end of the season. He probably won't get it, and he will return. You know, it's not like he's going to be then dismissed. He'll go back to his role. He's respected in the club. We really like him. We're looking at Nagelsmann, but I think he's probably going to Bayern.
Yeah,
but
he's 7 years younger than Thiago Silva.
Yeah, imagine that. Like Gareth Bale's 33, isn't he? Like,
yeah.
Before we started, Adam, before you came, Jay quickly said before we started, we're going to nip to the other room, and all he heard is an echo of me shouting, "He's 3 years younger than Sissoko."
Honestly, it's insane. Right, make sure you look out for videos on that final because Josh is going to do stuff because that's a big game for them. We're going to try and return back to normality now, making more videos about football. But I'm going to
try and discuss who the fuck should take Tottenham forward as well at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a good video. Anything else to add, lads, before we end that?
One thing, yes. Ryan Mason's blue and white army
are gonna lose the final of the Carabao. Let's go! Say your dance, everyone.